Wally, I think, is the best example of scene planning in the sense that there is virtually no dialogue at all in the film, and yet the characters are beautifully expressive, and each scene is a choreographed trajectory of emotions and dramatic dynamism. In this scene, the two characters are reunited after a long odyssey. Wally has lost his memory, and Eva, his friend, is trying to bring him back. You can see a really good example of the trajectory of a scene in which emotions are built. There is a story within a story. The goal of storytellers, especially on screen, is not just good dialogue, but scene planning. What is a scene? A scene is a thematic moment in a film. It's a series of actions linked together by a single theme, but the actions might not be in the same place at the same time. They might be separated by time lapse because it's a montage of events over a longer period of time, but they are linked together by some kind of themes. How do you plan it? To try to be dramatic and to be visual in your thinking. You think of the scene as a dramatic series of events, which doesn't have to involve dialogue. Wally probably had no more than about 50 lines of dialogue, maybe 100. And most of the scenes are just dramatic. They don't have any dialogue at all. And the real question is, does it make sense without the dialogue? Are there things happening in the scene that tell the story and would tell a story without anybody saying anything? So connected to that is the visual. You're not a visual artist, but you need to be visual in your thinking. You'll need to write clear instructions for the actors and the directors because that's what a script is. But you need to imagine what the audience can see. This goes back to being dramatic. You're telling a visual story. This comes through plotting. Like the planning of the subplots, you need to do the same thing when you're planning your scene. You need to think of a trigger, the first and second crisis, and in some climactic moment in the scene. With Wally, you could see that that scene has a buildup. Eva is trying to recall his memory. She first holds out her hand and he doesn't recognize that. Then he gives her some items that he would be familiar with to try to jog his memory, and he doesn't seem to recognize that. She tries to turn on the music that he loves so much, but then she discovers that he's turning his beloved artifacts just like junk. He's even forgotten about his cockroach. And then finally, Eva discovers that he doesn't have any memories recorded in his soundtrack, and she's ready to give up on the idea that he has any memory left. So her friend is gone. This is a climactic moment in the scene because she finally has to express her true feelings for him. It seems like it's too late, but she's extremely sad about this. And of course, because of this, his memory is jogged, and then triumphantly he returns to awareness, and then they're reunited as friends. But the scene itself has a trajectory. The rule of three is one way of setting up a scene. The rule of three is like the trigger, first and second crisis, and climax pattern that I was encouraging you to think about when plotting your pilot. The rule of three is this: there's a first event, the second event reinforces a pattern, and then the third event breaks the pattern in a surprising twist. Sometimes the rule of three becomes a rule of four, where you expect the third event to break the pattern, but it doesn't. But then the fourth event does. It's obviously not a real rule, it's broken all the time, but it's surprisingly common. I found it in a comedy skit called Bake Sale by Awkward Spaceship. There are three characters. The first two characters are very similar. Evan is very dissimilar. And then Evan tells a story. The first three examples follow the pattern, and then the fourth example breaks the pattern.
Did you bring Alice? Oh, these are my grandmother's famous sugar cookies. Ooh, they look good. Yeah, well, that's because they are good.
Another pastry of Aldesh Ra, the donut that will end the world. But can anyone ever truly make a confection of such concentrated evil? Nay, you can only call it into this plane of existence from the dark realm of shadows where it has slumbered for all eternity. Its dough is made from flour milled between the skulls of men executed for crimes that thieves and murderers alike forsake as ghastly and unforgivable. It's cooked in the boiling fat of animals that have feasted upon their own young and been branded with the marks of elder gods long feared since the very dawn of time. Its icing is a congealed mass of sorrow and despair, made viscous with the saccharine discharge of sugarcane plants watered with the blood of the damned. It also has sprinkles. When the nether pastry of Al-Deshra has been consumed, all that has begun will end, and the symphony of this reality will sound only with the screams of men as their flesh is stripped bare and their souls are torn asunder.
Made my triple fudge brownies again.
Triple fudge, yum yum and yum.
The breaking of the character at the end is what creates the humor. The third character, Evan, breaks the pattern. His fourth story breaks the pattern. You can do that in every scene. Build suspense and then break the pattern through the rule of 3 or 4. What is the point of the scene? Try to think of making this point in the most suspenseful and efficient way as possible. To heighten the drama of the point. The playwright and screenwriter David Mamet said, every scene needs to answer 3 questions. Who wants what from whom? What happens if they don't get it? And why now? This makes me think of the Aaron Sorkin formula. In any dialogue, we talk about a character who has a goal, an obstacle, and then they usually have a breaking point. What is the goal of the character? Sketch comedy. The sketch stands alone as a story and almost never within a much larger story. They are good examples of efficient plotting. A type of plot premise quite common in comedy called what I would call the day after. You're trying to describe a situation by having a character informed by another character about the situation. The 9th of December by the comedy duo Tom and Hubert. It's a good example of the day after premise. One character has slept through 2016 and the other character has to explain the entire year to him as if he were an alien. It's pretty funny.
Good of you to join us.
Where am I?
How are you feeling? We thought we'd let you rest.
For 343 days.
Well, after the night you had, we thought it best to leave you sleeping. Do you remember New Year's Eve?
Oh.
Well, Andy Murray won Wimbledon and became world number 1. London elected Sadiq Khan its first Muslim mayor. The astronaut Tim Peake completed his first mission into space. Skepta won the Mercury Prize. Bob Dylan the Nobel Prize for Literature. Tiger numbers had risen for the first time in a century, and Team GB came second in the Olympic Games.
Oh, right. It's a pretty good year, then. Any bad news?
David!
Tom
Bowie!
Yes.
He's dead!
Tom David Bowie!
Seriously, we haven't even
Well,
scratched the
I'm
surface
sorry,
yet.
but David!
No, I am sorry I had to do that, but you need to steel yourself because it has been one pig of a year and you don't even know the half of it, okay? Bowie, Rickman, Wogan. Christ, that's January. February, Umberto Eco, Harper Lee, Sir George Martin, Johan Cruyff, Gary Shandling, Dame Zaha Hadid and Sir Ronnie Corbett. I'm in April now. Vesca, Guest, Prince.
Prince Andrew!
No, he's not dead.
Come on!
Kenny Baker, G. Wilder, Anton Yelchin, Andrew Sachs, Eli Basel, Edward Albee, Dario Fo, and then a gorilla got shot in a zoo.
As long as it wasn't Harambe.
It's 2016, no one's safe. Fidel Castro, Curtis Hanson, Carolina Hearn, Kimbo Slice, Muhammad Ali, Pete Burns, Leonard Cohen, Greg Lake, Peter Vaughan, all dead. It's one thing that I haven't told you yet, and it's really, really bad.
Has the world run out of ham?
What? No.
Oh, thank God. Oh. What is it?
This is a couple of guys complaining about 2016, but they're doing it in a very dramatic way. They're using the day after antecedent action. Take a character, put them in a state of ignorance, create some premise that would put them in that ignorance, and put another character in dialogue with them to explain what's going on as if they were an ignorant alien. Another example, the pre and post-COVID Julies. This is a take on the COVID-19 crisis, explained to a past Julie by the present Julie.
From 4 months in the future.
Actually? Are you here to tell me what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, because of the butterfly effect, I can only really give you some loose details, but we'll go through the basics, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Oh, news?
Yeah, great choice. Yeah, cool. So, things have never been better for climate change.
No, that's great.
Dolphins in the Venice canals. Really? Well, I mean, I saw it on Facebook. I don't know if it's a real thing. My aunt posted it, but it's pretty legit.
Okay, well that's incredible. You know, especially given the Australian wildfires.
The what? Oh yeah.
Because I mean, those are pretty. Like, I think those are going to be the defining feature of 2020.
Yeah, you'd think.
Oh no,
Not even a little bit.
really? Wait, because they're a pretty big deal.
Yeah, your definition of a pretty big deal is going to change for sure.
Wow. Okay, so what is the bad news then?
You are going to want to pull all your investments.
What?
Yeah, get everything out of the stock market. Get it all out. Oh, it's the worst. You know what? Put a little money in Zoom.
Isn't that a conferencing app?
Yes, trust me.
Okay. While we're being proactive here, actually, if you could just do a Costco run real quick,
It's going to save you a lot of hassle.
Costco.
Do you have any hobbies? You know, just something to keep you busy?
No, not really.
You should get a dog.
I want a dog. You know I want a dog. They're a lot of work, and you've got to walk. You got to go outside with them twice a day.
Right, the walks are going to be clutch.
Right, but I mean, I have to lead them because I have so much travel coming up.
Oh, no, you don't.
But yeah, I travel for work.
Oh, you won't be working.
But how do I afford stuff?
Do you take vitamins or juice?
No.
Okay, might be a good time to just, get that body in tip-top shape. Get strong. Get those lungs a pumping. Cardio, little aerobic.
What the hell is gonna happen?
Look, I know it all sounds scary, but it's really not that bad. For you, right? I mean, for some people, it's not, but for you, it's really not bad. I would, would you rather be in a busy shopping mall or at home?
Couch?
Exactly. You're gonna be just fine.
Okay.
How do you use a dramatic moment to communicate some kind of idea? Comedy sketches are always driven by some kind of premise. They're a good example of efficiency in scene planning. If you thought of every one of your scenes as a kind of a comedy sketch, you would be more efficient about your plan. What is it that I'm trying to communicate with the next 3 or 4 minutes of the story? What point am I trying to make? I'm not just moving the story along. The director's idea of the scene tends to be intuitive. In a lot of successful films, the writer actually is the director. The director is the writer. They have a powerful idea of what they want to do for the scene. So an example was the opening scene in Parasite. I found the director and lead actor trying to explain the idea that the director was going for. They didn't go through the whole scene, but they pointed out a couple of elements that were important. One of the things that communicated the theme of the scene was the setting and the idea of the semi-basement apartment. It's symbolic because it's half below ground, which indicates the despair that the family is feeling. It's half above ground, which indicates something even worse, that's giving them some sense of hope, which is very cruel. Another thing that's important in the scene are the props, specifically the scholar's stone. At some point in the scene, the boy's friend brings over a scholar's stone. This becomes a trigger for his desperate ambition to escape poverty. Finally, they bring up characters, specifically the son, Ki-woo, and his friend, Min-hyuk. His friend is from another world, actually really, really wealthy. And this creates a very strange moment for the boy and also opportunities for the family.
Hello guys, this is Ushik and I play Kyu from Parasite.
I'm director Bong Joon-ho, who write and direct this movie Parasite.
Yeah. And this is Vanity Fair, Notes on a Scene.
Yeah.
Yeah! 여기는 지금 봉준호 감독님과 최우식의 Notes on the Scene, Vanity Fair입니다.
아저씨 왜 그래? 그거 화장실 아니야?
맞네 민혁이.
한번 봐.
It's something very natural. Talk about the rich and poor in this era, in this age, in this time. So in everyday life, we always encounter those kind of who is rich, who is poor, and why kind of question almost every day. It's quite natural to create those kind of story as a contemporary filmmaker, I think.
잘했다고 쳐다봐.
The first scene is view from my house.
한국에선 반지하라고 하죠. Semi basement is very specific the way of the Korean living for the poor people, but actually semi basement means also semi overground.
Yeah, so it gives you like a little bit of hope because it's not like fully underground, but it's half away.
Actually, yeah, this is it looks like a real location, but actually it's all
Made up set.
Set.
Yeah, so this whole street, this building.
actually until
there.
this is the borderline.
Yeah.
This is the whole set. The more far background is a VFX.
We had this
computer graphic.
blue screen here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, yeah.
And production design team, they did such a great job. And actually 이 여기 표면에 보이는 간판이나 이런 재료들은 만든 게 아니라 띄워온 거예요.
Yeah, we actually the
실제
guy,
가난한
yeah.
동네에서 띄워왔지. And one guy is coming. Your friend is coming. This man. Yeah. This is you.
Yeah, that's me. That's Gyu.
Son.
His oldest son, of Park's family.
And our father Gitek is here. The name of actor is 송강호. 이번에 무려 4번째 같이 17년간 같이 일해온 great actor 송강호 and mother. Her name is
Chung-suk.
Chung-suk. Yeah.
Yep. Very strong woman. And our youngest, Ki-jung.
기정이 잘 지냈어?
오빠도.
This is very strange situation. He bring very weird
너 주려고
gift.
오늘 무거운 거.
Can we call it gift? 이게 영화에 되게 중요한 어떤 물건이 등장하게 되는 것인데.
뭐야 이게?
기후 만나러 간다고 하니까 저희 할아버지께서 이걸 꼭 갖다 주라고 하셔가지고.
Wow.
Wow. So this is Scholar Stone. And Minhyuk actually brought that to our family as a gift.
Actually, this is very weird situation. Nobody actually gift the stone like this. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite strange. But anyway, it happened in the movie. And maybe this is very important moment in the movie. Why?
Because this has a lot of symbols. This stone actually has a lot of symbols in our movie.
This is just for the collectors. Some old generation collectors, they are collecting this kind of stone. But actually, these younger generations never.
We don't really
never care.
trade our stones or whatever. But in Korea, it's not usual gift to give a gift to other family about different stones.
So this is a very bizarre moment in the beginning part
we
of
didn't
the
expect
movie.
it.
추상적으로 볼 수도 있고.
오 아시네요. 아니, 저희 할아버지께서 육사 시절부터 이 수석 수집을 쭉 해오셔가지고 지금은 뭐 저희 집 아래층, 위층, 거실, 서재 이 수석들이 꽉 차 있는 상태입니다. 근데 특히 이 돌은 가정에 많은 재물운과 합격운을 몰고
민유가.
가시면서
이야, 이거 진짜 상징적인 거네.
Actually, it's some kind of symbol of his desire. Yeah, because the guy who bring the stone, he from some kind of. Yeah, he's your friend, but he's from different world.
Yeah,
Actually, he is a
his
rich guy.
economic stance is very different than Q. So our whole family is kind of surprised that he actually brought the gift to.
It's just a stone, but it's actually very expensive.
이게?
기후 만나러 간다고 하니까 저희 할아버지께서 이걸 꼭 갖다 주라고 하셔가지고.
I really wanted to make audience curious. Something funny is happened, something going on, but we don't know exactly. But it feels interesting.
그래도 그 돌멩이 때문에 부모님 얼굴도 뵙고 좋더라 건강들 하시고.
건강은 하신데 일거리가 없으셔도.
기정이도 그냥 집에 있냐? 학원 안 가고?
Yep. Oh, a very funny face right there.
This is a very crucial moment in
Yeah,
the movie,
yeah.
the beginning part.
So
Something bad happened from this moment, right?